Hi everyone, hello. This is Code and Deploy. This is our second session of the year. Just in case if you, we'll wait for a few more minutes for some folks to join. But welcome to this Code and Deploy session. For those of you that attended to previous sessions, this is a Code and Deploy, right? So the main idea is to code with people, to make a coding session, to invite luminaries from the community to showcase their projects, to showcase what they do, and to try to talk about interesting topics. So that's the main idea. So feel free to put your comments in the chat, either if you are watching this from YouTube or from LinkedIn. Feel free, put the comments. The idea is to make it interactive. Also, let us know from which part of the world you are watching us. This is very, very interesting. It's very cool for us to know who is in the other side. So please let us know. Okay, we'll be waiting a few more minutes, but I'm not here to just be me talking, right? So I have a great guest, a very knowledgeable guest that we meet each other in multiple conferences. We work together in few projects. So just a quick introduction about him. He's Chandan. You will see him just in a few minutes. So he will be talking about agents, right? So if you heard about agents, now there is a huge hype because it's very interesting for us to start using agents when we are deploying, when we like to expand the LLM knowledge and for our applications. So agents, it's a very good thing, and Chandan has a very interesting topic on that. One color thing about that, or one funny fact is that he's from Toronto. He's based in Toronto, same as me. We are both based in Toronto, and I'm actually wearing a shirt. If you play or if you've seen Raptors or if you watch NBA, I will try to do this for all the guests. Sometimes I don't have all the things from the places from the guests are, but I will try to do that. Probably it could be like something if you like to send me a guest, and if you like to send me a gift too, that would be amazing. So one more comment before going with Chandan is, since this is an open source session, coding session, please let us know if you like to show your project, or if you like to show your expertise, or if you like to share your knowledge. This is the main idea of this, right? So let us know, or ping me on LinkedIn, or ping us on LinkedIn, or let us know in the chat if you would like to see it. So let's now introduce the guest, my guest, which is Chandan. Hey Chandan, how are you? Welcome.
Hey, hi. Hi, Easy.
Good.
Happy to be here.
Nice. Happy to have you here. So it's very great to have you here. So first of all, for people that don't know you, first, what you do, and the second question would be, what is Denver?
Oh yeah, hi. So I've been working as a like in a tech industry for a long time and as a solution architect, as a DevOps, and now I'm working for Denver DataWorks for almost 3 to 4 years. And we specialize in AI compute. So we primarily do we have our customers are they are mostly GenAI clients, and our specialty comes into ability to render and serve AI compute, AI services through various applications. It could be your Jupyter notebook based application, or you can have a virtual machine. And we support a variety of hardwares, including Intel Gaudi, NVIDIA A100, H100, and name goes on.
Cool, cool. And and you are working with AI. I imagine for a while. But what is your main focus, or what is your passion about AI? It's LMs now. It's agents. You started playing with data science. Just talk us a bit about what your passions about AI.
I think the key passion about AI is that it is just so fast changing, right? Right now, example, how we were talking, right? The concept of DB agent I started writing maybe 6 months ago, and now I see the things have changed dramatically. Specifically, right now, the hottest topic is right now AI agentic design, and you can see all the podcasts. Satya Nadella, everybody's talking about the 2025 will be year of agentic AI. So maybe we can touch base on that. And because I'm coming from mostly a software background, so pretty much as a developer, and I can correlate the whole how the AI ecosystem is evolving through the software architecture. Example, how I see as a agentic AI is a kind of a microservice for AI. So the first, I would say, first revision of AI was like OpenAI, the big giant model is just doing everything. That was the premise. The agentic AI goes a little bit different. What it does is that instead of having a one large model doing everything for you, you create a smaller purpose built model, and you break up your workflow in a way that you ask this question, particular example, this question, you give it to this AI, they call agentic AI. So basically you're giving a feed to a small LLM, it gives the output. That output is taken by the next LLM to do something. So if someone is not familiar with microservice, you can think of a relay racing, how you do in Olympic, right? One person is running, giving the baton to the next person, and next person is carrying over, and you are, instead of finishing your say 400-meter race by one runner, you take four runners to achieve the same objective.
Cool,
So
cool.
that is the basically, I would say, the a simplistic view of the agentic ecosystem.
Great. And you are actually working with agents? It's something that you are actually using in your day by day? Like, are you using Cursor to code or using any other platform that is actually using agents? Or is something that you're mainly exploring, or you are seeing customers that are actually using that?
I would say, on an agent basis, I'm not sure if what I'm using is actually qualified agent. Example, I'm using say GitHub Copilot all the time,
Okay.
and ChatGPT, now Grok, all these tools are using. And I'm not sure if I am actually using the agent, but yes, somewhat similar. Example, the DB agent I'm talking about, it is essentially creating a small piece of a big puzzle.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if I can call that I'm using agent, but I would say that a lot of end user customers that they are developing agents. So one quick example of agent I will say, if you log into your Office 365 account, and you can see you can pretty easily create an agent. So example, if you have a lot of large data set or even small data set, and where you want to wrangle the data, wrangle in the sense, assume you have a use case where you have a database of say 1,000 addresses, and all addresses there are some spelling mistake or something. What you can do is you can create an agent which will take the input and transform the data and create into something else. So those kind of use cases I'm playing around on the side, but I won't say I'm running on a production personally.
No, no, no. That's great to know. And me neither. Me neither. I mean, I'm using on Cursor, which is an IDE like VS Code, right? You have like an assistant there. Every time you are coding something, you can talk to the assistant, and the assistant can run some commands for you. Sometimes they can mess up your code, but it's like, I mean, it's a useful tool sometimes, right?
Yes,
Um,
same with your GitHub, like a pilot, right? Sometimes, example, I ask, hey, write a code, and it writes the code, and because it is a probabilistic model, all the LLMs are probabilistic, so they do small mistake, maybe small silly mistake, and sometimes it takes me hours to debug that issue, and that makes me wonder that okay, we have in the age of AI and LLM, and how good they are. I think that the next iteration of
yeah.
probably the agentic AI is going to address this problem, because for example, assume you use your cursor, so it generated a code, and now the code is given as output. The next agent will take the input code and do the QA validation. That will
Exactly.
make it like any kind of validation, it spit out the error. So I think if you are able to do that workflow full cycle, it is a next evolution of I would say the
Absolutely.
AI in the current form.
Absolutely. Amazing. Amazing. All right. Let's go with the code. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Let's show. You are sharing your screen now.
Yeah.
By the way, this is the Triple AI. For those of you that have seen what we done, we seen like a kind of promotion. So that talk that you gave at Triple AI was great. So happy that you are also presenting that here. But I will let you the stage. So stage is yours.
Yeah, I think again, I don't want to bore everybody with the whole slide thing, but
Yeah.
I just want to talk about the agentic design of it. Example here, maybe simple. I'll give a use case of a agent, maybe for broader context for broader people. I always take this example of Rufus, that AWS Rufus, Amazon. If everybody has an Amazon account, you go to Amazon, there is a Rufus, this is a chatbot. You can ask it, hey, you know what? And again, this is screenshot taken a couple of months back. I'm not sure if they have implemented it. And I was shocked that when I asked it a question, hey, can you, I just exactly this question, show me the discount product which I usually buy. And I got an interesting answer. It says, I don't have an answer for this. And why it is interesting for me, because I have been Amazon customer for a very long time. They have pretty much all my purchase history, right? They can easily do this. And instead, this answer, what it told me that somehow there is agentic workflow is still not implemented, which takes my English prompt question, convert into a query language, some kind of query language which fires against the database, whatever database they are using backend, and gives me the data. So example, if I were in a perfect agentic world, when I ask this question, example, user asks us a question, and this question is converted into some query language. In this case, say assume SQL language, and then the data is presented to me directly. Example, if they would have given me something like this, a screenshot, like like exactly the product, I would have purchased it. So that is the use case. That is what the main trigger. I thought, okay, let's do a build a like a kind of a open source tool for that. So you can think of a agentic workflow in one of the, this is taken from my, I think from Anthropic screenshot. So what it talks, they talk it in different use case. They're talking about when your input question comes in, you do the classification of the question itself. Example, when the question comes in, so it classify the question, is it a, assume you are in a company and your employee ask a question. So classification will be, does the employee asking a question HR related question, does it asking about something like a product related question. So based on that classification, that classification agent will route the question to a right agent, basically right LLM. So example, there is a small LLM which is specialized on HR data, something on the product data. So the idea is that you are doing the classification, but agentic workflow doesn't stop there. You have to take the next action. So that is the basically quick overview. Any question before I switch to the code?
Any questions if someone has any questions, just put it in the chat. I have one quick question about when you mentioned the translate. Is actually the LLM is actually building the SQL query, right?
Yeah.
Or you need like a tool that converts what the LLM is saying to a SQL query. I'm asking that because sometimes um, it can be complicated to understand. Hey, does the LLM know the structure of my database? Does the LLM know the schema? Does the LLM knows how to answer or how to actually query the SQL? That was mainly my question. So that model is actually creating the SQL query.
Yes, exactly. So example, so to get a SQL query, LLM needs two things. One is a prompt question. Second, you have to give the database schema. Otherwise, it won't know what is asking. So in the tool, what I did basically, I put the query and put the SQL template, the whole SQL, basically SQL schema of the database. And what it does, it basically pushes through the whole thing to the end, and the LLM generates it. And again, uh, here I will be today will be experimenting with bunch of LLMs. So you can use regular llama model, or you can use one of the I was using is a called SQL Coder. It is a Hugging Face open source model, and what they have done, they have used a lot of Postgres SQL questions like SQL queries to train on that. The benefit of using that kind of custom built model is that you are able to get a better accuracy. And you will see when we do the like a little bit demo here and there, you will see the accuracy is much better with SQL Coder compared to OpenLlama. So we'll begin with the code, I think. So
Yep.
so this is the repo. You can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Repository.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the basically repository, and I'll post the link here if anybody is interested.
Yeah. Let me put it in the chat for you.
Yeah, feel free to. Yeah, here. Somehow it is not taking the. Oh, you got the link?
No, I
Oh,
don't.
okay, paste. Yeah, it's not. The browsers have become too smart that they are just pasting the hyperlink, not the not the URL itself. So I think I have
I can
to
look it for
maybe.
you. I can put it there. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It is called github.com/. Yeah, finally
Yeah.
I got it working. And so what I will do is right now, so for anyways, so this example, this you should be able to run on your laptop also. So I have run on Mac Mini, I have run on the Mac and regular NVIDIA hardware. But this case, what we'll do is we'll basically quickly go ahead in Denver Cloud and just launch a AI compute here. So in this case, launch, we will be using our Houston data center. And in this case, we are choosing the Gaudi, and I'll call it a, say, DB agent LinkedIn. And in this case, I'll be using a pre-installed. So this one will have a pre-installed Habana drivers
So
so
you'll
that
be
you don't have to install anything.
creating a virtual machine like as someone can do it, for instance, in AWS or in any other
Yeah,
GCP. Okay.
yeah, exactly like that. And let me pull my key from here.
Okay, so you can select the hardware that you'll be using. You can select the storage that you'll be using.
Yeah,
I see it a way more simpler. I mean, I used to use AWS all the time, mainly, and also some of the Azure. Sometimes the parameter you have to put when you are creating a VM, they are
yeah, too
like
many.
a lot.
I think I think Amazon is built for everything, right?
Yeah,
But Denver is very specific for only mostly focused towards the AI workload.
yeah,
So AI workload, if I'm looking for AI workload, I really don't need a lot of complexity.
yeah.
I just need to get started and start either training my model or just start inferencing. So we'll go ahead and basically launch this one to launch it. So that's why I have already created a existing one, this particular one. So this is already running because
Okay.
just to save the time here.
Mhm.
And I will log into this one. Let me log in. Hmm.
So you have a public IP address that will be using your
Yeah,
key, I imagine.
yeah. So this is basically, so if I do HLSMI, I can see the complete Habana the Gaudi, and so you can see the how much 600
Yeah.
watt currently only. And the Habana, they have really huge memory, like 98 gigs of RAM, VRAM you are getting. So you can pretty much serve really large models here.
Okay.
And I'll see if I have a Git installed. Yes, Git is pre-installed. So usually whenever we do this one, it is pre-installed uh, with all the tools that you need. So let me go ahead and just clone this repo over there.
While you are cloning that, I mean, you showed Abana, you showed NVIDIA. Can you quickly explain? I mean, what is the difference between Abana and NVIDIA?
Habana, I would say there are similarity and differences as well. So similarity in the sense that NVIDIA, say if you're comparing Habana, it's a Gaudi 2 will be say comparable to say H100, and they are both accelerator.
Okay.
They are both AI accelerator, and you can use them the AI accelerator GPUs. So the difference between Habana, this Gaudi versus NVIDIA is the tech stack.
Hmm.
So example, NVIDIA uses CUDA, Habana uses their own Habana libraries, and I would say that will be the difference. But most part, what I've seen is they are like, I would say pretty much you can see the command and the output looks very similar to NVIDIA. So I think if you have your NVIDIA tool stack running, I think they have a documentation as
Yeah.
well to explains how you can translate your CUDA code to here. And otherwise, you can simply raise a ticket. I think the bunch of stuff, some of their stuff is open source, and they can happy to help on that if you're running. But good thing I saw is that some of the models are already available on Hugging Face, so you can basically run the Llama model as well. So today, what we will do is, so example, I have so this particular one, I can, so I will right now use this particular one. This is the command I already have. Of course, I have to, so if I do this, so I'll keep it running on the open and basically open another terminal on the side.
So you have a container. What do you have in that container specifically?
It is running you can see it is running a Llama model. Okay. This one.
Yeah, just
so it is using Hugging Face TGI. So when you are, maybe giving a little bit context. So when you are running inference, there are multiple ways you can run inference. One way is that you use most popular way of doing inference is your VLLM. VLLM, and which is a Python wrapper. And Hugging Face has also done a very good job. If you log into your Hugging Face account, and so anytime you go, I think, let me log into my Hugging Face account. Give me 1 second. And anytime you click on a model, it gives you an option that you can quickly, if you can see my screen.
Yep.
So if I type here, say Llama. Okay, Quen. Of course, Quen is the most popular right now. Maybe let's go to Quen. And that is the fascinating thing about AI, right? So Llama was cool last year. This year is not no longer the coolest kid in the town.
Yeah.
So example, when I go here, we use this model. So they have a lot of options. You can do a train. So train you can do with right away with the AWS SageMaker. Deploy. These are the various cloud services we can deploy. And if you want to use it yourself, option one is use transformer. Then VLLM and TGI. So VLLM is a Python wrapper. And I like TGI because it's just very easy. You just single command and just start working as long as you have your Hugging Face token. And you need this token because otherwise, because Llama model is a open source, but you need to get approval from Meta to use it because whatever reason they have as per their open source policy. So I believe Quen is full open. It doesn't ask any permission. I don't think Quen you need any permission. Same with DeepSeek. They are more open source. So idea here, what we will do is, let me show you the architecture one more before we actually begin. So the idea here will be that we have a end user. Here is the SQL agent running, and it will fire the backend. Could be anything. Your say Defog AI, Llama, DeepSeek, and these are the inference engines. So you can use Hugging Face, VLLM, AWS Bedrock, and the hardware could be anything. It could be, I'm just putting an example of EC2 Inferentia, Mac, Denver.
Look at that Mac. Cool.
And and you can use pretty much any SQL database for this particular use case. So, and how we will simulate this environment. So if you guys have already cloned the repo already, so you can see a few things here. Here you will see a Docker Compose image, Docker Compose file. So Docker Compose file, it has 3 services, 3 or 4 services. So number one is the Postgres database, because again, if you're running to test it, you need a database. Yep. So this is the database, and this is the DB agent container. And this, so this DB agent container, this is, you can run, because it's a Streamlit app, you don't need to run inside the container. You can run just pip install Streamlit and you should be running. And then you are running a DB importer. DB importer, what is doing, when you download the Postgres database, it is empty. It has nothing. Then you use this DB importer. What it does, it imports a library. That SKU data example. And then you have this Hugging Face TGI. Of course, you give the token. This is one example. And I created, what I realized is that sometimes this could be challenging a little bit because not everybody has access to all these things. So I created another Docker Compose, which I call it a local. Local mean if you have a GitHub, it's pretty straightforward. I can just click a button here and you can see my container will start running.
Yeah.
And is my Docker run? Oh, my Docker. So make sure you have a Docker installed. So I'm giving
Oh
right now, I'm
yeah.
giving example so that you are able to run this application in your laptop or completely into the cloud. So this case, what we will do is I will use the database example here. Show me the example. So database will be running on my local machine, and I'll be on the back end, I will be using different backend services to query. So, and that is, I mean, some you have to modify a little bit of code here and there
Mhm.
because we just launched this machine. So example, I go
So this
here.
this approach is pretty. It's pretty. I mean, I love this approach of containers and microservices because sometimes our question that is you can do that in one script, right? So you can have your SQL, you can have everything probably in one script, but once we would like to move to deployment or to actually something closer to to a real scenario, having starting from scratch with this mindset like, hey, the TGI or the LLM will be one container independently. If this container goes in local environments or external environments, or even if the database is internally external or internal, this approach, I mean, I love to see that because it's I see how is the everything is moving, right? Um, I don't know what to think about containers, but I think that's pretty. It's amazing. So one more question or one comment. If people that is on the both LinkedIn or YouTube live, just let us know in the comments if you have any questions. We'll keep pushing. So let us know if you have any questions.
Okay, sounds good. So you can see I just build the container and I will run the DB importer. Again, DB importer is again, this is very specific for this use case because if you want to test your application, you need some data.
Yeah.
If you don't have data, then there is no point of anything. So, but in a real use case, one of the use case I did 6 to 7 months, maybe I would say 1 year ago for one of the ERP vendor. So they had a custom ERP. They had a smaller ERP, not like larger ERP like SAP or anything. So they didn't have like 5,000 database. They had like couple of hundred tables.
Oh.
So even couple of hundred table is still you can squeeze in into a few. So so now here the programming skill comes into, like I will say you take this concept and apply into different use case. Example, if you're assume you want to apply this tool against the ERP database, and the challenge with ERP is that you have thousands of tables,
Mm-hmm.
if not 100, right? And then you cannot in every query. I will show you one more thing about the main crux here is this one. I think I think in the factory or in the base. I'll show you the what is the let me minimize this. Is it visible, right?
Yeah.
So example, Hugging Face. Yeah, here. So what I did, I tried to create some of the it is a class like a base class and basically overriding with bunch of different providers. So you can see the prompt here, and that is the prompt. You go here. So begin. You're giving very articulately. You're giving the prompt. Like this is a begin text, end text, and here I'm giving the user question and the DB schema.
Okay.
So that is the prompt which is given to the model. And what you do, you make sure you set the temperature in a way that you reduce the hallucination of the model. That is the key. Because remember one thing, if you're talking to Chat GPT, if you ask a same question twice, it always gives you a different answer.
Yeah.
Because it is by design. It is by design. It's a probabilistic model. They try to make it creative and by tweaking the temperature. But in SQL, I don't want different answer. I want a consistent answer which works. So you have to set the temperature accordingly. And that is where the basically a little bit comes in. So in this case, today's example, we will be using, as we said, one Llama 2 example, and I'll be using this one Defog. I think the 3 billion parameter, yes, 8 billion one, this one. So this is actually a fork of Llama 3. They took the Llama 3 and basically made it a little bit better. So what I did basically, you go here, they are giving you the prompt, and you can see the create table statement. So this is giving you a, if you know which table to fire the query, then you can put the create table statement, which is, if people know from the SQL world, it's called DDL. Like
Okay.
you give the DDL here, but if you want to give a larger context of it, say you will ask, hey, can you tell me about this? So then you have to give a larger context in a way that you have to give all the table which you think it will impact.
Hmm.
And the challenge here is from the user interface is that you want to make it as easy as possible for the end user. You don't want to complicate the user,
Oh, yeah.
because if user knew all the information about which table to use, what table to use, they don't need this chatbot, right? They don't need
Yeah.
this. So you have to, in a program sense, you have to make it a little bit, I would say, pre-programming, and that is where your uh, agentic view flow can come really helpful. So example, you imagine right now you have 5,000 tables and user ask a question and you have no clue. So assume your SQL DB is there and it has a limited context window. So what do? You take the question and fire to the LLM and ask, hey, this question, which table will be used? So that your agent, which is giving you the DDL generation agent, which will give you the which table will ask you, add those tables and put it across. So that is, you can think of a next evolution of this DB agent will be, if you want to apply for any ERP based solution, it's basically a two-step process. Again, of course, this is what we are doing is only one-step process, and I think now if I do this one. So as I mentioned, it's a simple SQL. It's a Streamlit. So Streamlit, if not everybody familiar, so Streamlit is a Python library. I think it's an open source Python library, and now it is bought by Snowflake.
Oh.
And the good thing why I like Streamlit is that you don't need to hire a front end developer.
No, no.
It just you
Yeah.
just write it, and it starts working.
I mean, for us, it's
And
great because I mean, I don't consider myself knowledgeable enough to create a good UI, right? So this is very useful for us.
yeah, and the good thing is that you directly use pandas data frame.
Yeah.
So you give the pandas data frame and generate the visualization. So that is a cherry on top. And the biggest thing what I like about Streamlit is that actually you can host free of cost on their they call it a Streamlit Cloud. Yeah, this one, Streamlit Cloud. So you can see I just created a small you can see you can have your own app running on it completely free, by the way. So this is, of course, I didn't use it, so it takes time, and you can see. And the nice thing about it is it took a screenshot of my app when last time it died. It
Oh.
put it to sleep. So it is a, I would say, if any app developer looking to showcase your app into the marketplace, or you just want to have fun with some kind of a open source code and you don't want to spend any money on that. So for example, for this hosting, you pretty much paying nothing. But of course, if you want to inference it, you have to
Oh yeah.
pay. I mean, you have to use some kind of inference tool. So it could be your assume if you're hosting that publicly hosted into your Mac Mini, then you have to create a firewall hole in your Wi-Fi router,
Mm.
or you can simply use a public cloud, like similar to Denver, how we do it here.
Yep.
So example, I go here, so database selection, I can see here Postgres. Model selection, so I have put bunch of option here. Example, Olama. Assume if you're using Olama. Olama mean if you are reference inferencing in your own laptop.
Mhm.
and you can use Google Gemini. And for this example, we'll use Denver AI APIs. And I think I have to add this particular model, which Llama 2.
Okay.
And so this is telling you that it is unable to connect to the database, local database. So what we will do is you have to do a little bit tweak here and there.
The database that it is trying to connect is actually one of the containers that you deployed, right?
Yeah, yeah. So example, if I do over here Docker PS. So my Postgres is running. Let me run it from here. Another thing is there is a if you use again, even though container, they say container works everywhere the same way, but it is a little bit different. If you're running on Windows and WSL and Mac, the networking component is a little bit different. So let me run this one here. So so this is I'm running off directly from the laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the key here you see here is it is able to connect. The reason is that in the this is why I like your this episode, that I don't have to pre-prepare everything. It's a
No.
coding session. Developers are here, they know you have to go to the code. So example, I'll show you exactly what is happening here in the database, what you're giving. So if you see the code here, so I have let me config store CSS. So this is the pretty much the code, and it is trying to connect a local host here. So model by default, it always try to connect local host. And when you put a local host on the container, if those both containers are not running under same pod, say in Kubernetes or running as a sidecar, they won't be able to access. So you have to give the IP address of the another container. So how do you see IP address of the another container? You basically, if again, this is becoming like a Docker session, but you do Docker PS and you do Docker inspect.
Yeah. But it's where we spend most of the time, right? Troubleshooting these
Most of the
things.
time is
Yeah.
on this. And I think yesterday I was in this, we do monthly meetup, right, about the AI. So a lot of people are talking about AI, okay, how it is, you don't need developer and all this thing. I said, it's all good, but remember, to make the AI work, you need a massive amount of developer, and you have to just, this is all you do basically. So I would say the information architecture, IA, you need IA to run AI. So you need information architecture to run AI.
Yeah.
And for information architecture to work, you need software developer, DevOps, SRE, and all solution architects, pretty much the whole gamut of tool that you need.
Yeah.
So coming back to this one, not this one, I think, yeah, this is the public one. I think, let me open. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what I did. I just put a quick Streamlit table here to make sure my connection is working to my database. So see, I'm able to make the connection to the database, and I'm giving the say plant. So this database has a bunch of tables. So if anybody is familiar with database, you can actually connect with PG and you can see what schema is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this schema in each of the queries, and that is how this large language
schema.
model knows that what is going on. So you can see some of the history I have of the query when I say show me all shipped goods from Germany. So what it does, it fire and generates the SQL and fires the query. So we'll do it right now.
Yeah, one
So
question
let me
there
go
that I
one
think
by one.
sorry, one question
Go
there that
ahead.
I think that we didn't mention is which data you have actually in that vector data in that vector database in that SQL database.
Oh, that's a pretty good question. Yeah, I think. So if you go to the code, it's pretty much everything open source. It's from Kaggle, and this is a Lowe's data. So remember when I talked about I will spin a bunch of containers. There was one DB containers, and there is a one container which will do a DB import. So that DB import container, what it does, this is the whole code. So this is the Kaggle your location, and it's
Okay.
basically downloading the CSV file, inserting into database, and this is pretty much all doing.
Okay. But it's like,
And by the way, this even though this code is generated through AI, but it didn't work on first shot, believe me. To
I
make
bet.
this import, it took me a couple of hours to get it working. Because what happened was that you can see some of these things, and the funny thing is ChatGPT didn't do it. Common thing is UTF-8 encoding.
Oh yeah.
So when you do download, it's comma, semicolon. I mean, so it was a little bit grind. So I would encourage if anybody is interested in this project, basically you can add more data. Basically go to the script, add more data use cases. And I would say next evolution will be that agentic flow, which I talked about. Basically, a asking LLM about which tables should I pick for the next query, and it completely aligns with the relay racing strategy.
That's cool. That's cool.
So in this one, what we will do is, and another thing I like about using Streamlit is that you can change the code on the fly. So example I have here, so I have a helper function and I call it a supported model, right? So right now we have these two model and we need to now add the third model, right? Which we just deployed. See, your co-pilot is suggesting DeepSeek R1. But I don't want DeepSeek R1. Another thing, reasoning model do not work well here because reasoning model is a different type of what you are essentially looking for this use case. What I call is a small language model, because to generate a SQL, you don't need a really large language model, but of course. So let me go to the IP address, put it here.
That's a great point that you mentioned because probably now without the DeepSeek fever and everything that we can use DeepSeek everywhere,
Yeah,
that's a great point. I mean, it is great, it is good, but not for everything, right?
yeah. So I need to put the whole model here.
Okay.
So, okay, man, again, it keeps suggesting me DeepSeek. I need to find the exact model name. So it is a Llama 2. And often, I think people often think, okay, so we need to use the latest and the greatest model. But remember one thing, the the greatest and latest model is good if the information is updating. But for these type of enterprise use case, SQL has been there for 40 years. You don't need every day new model or something. What you need is whatever model you have, it works the best.
Yep.
And let me add the URL here for this one. Let me log in one more time.
So nice. So you're connecting again to your console, to your environment, virtual environment.
Yeah. So I'm running on port 8080 here, right? And I need to put this IP.
So you have in your local machine, you have the Streamlit, you have the SQL database, and you have no, you have these two in your virtual machine, and you are using in your local machine.
Yeah.
And in your virtual machine, you are using the TGI, which is running in your Denver virtual machine, right? So that connection is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is why I need to specify where the inference is done.
Yeah, where the inference is running.
Yeah.
So if I now refresh my page, it should show me the new model here. Yeah, it is showing me this Llama 2, and do a save, and let me throw the same query. And if it lets me see it works or not. Okay, so I need to give this, I think again, it's a dummy. You need to pass this dummy code.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be any value. Even though you don't need OpenAI key, but I remember we talked in our last day that we don't need OpenAI key, but actually you don't need, to be very honest. That is still true. You don't need key, but the OpenAI library expects a key, so you can just generate a dummy key as well.
Yeah.
So we are still true to our what we said.
Yeah, this is
You
why
have
I mean, you are actually using the one API, the
yeah,
OpenAI API, right, in your
yeah,
code, but you're not actually using. There is a way
yeah,
that you can use the API, but you can use any model you want, right?
yeah, yeah. So see, it's generating again. What happened? Now this is we are living the world. Okay, so it didn't go there actually. It throw an error. I think let me try with other model. It is again, it's a network problem. It's, I mean, in the way that, let me do SQL code. Does it work? Let me
It looks to be
defog.
generating.
No, it should take that long. I need to, maybe I didn't launch the VM yet. Yeah, it's unable to reach the API. So give me 1 second. Where are we? I need to get the new API. Oh, the IP address might have changed. So this is the different IP. This one is again the A100. So again, for that SQL one, it's a different one, and this is a different. So let's troubleshoot it, because yeah, oh, this is the old IP. Let me put the new IP here.
In the meantime, if anyone has any questions, please let us know in the chat. I'm monitoring it, so
Yeah.
let us
By
know.
the way, this is the real world scenario, right? We are not doing
That's
a production demo. This is a developer demo, and developer code. If anybody's developer, they know whatever you do, it never works in first attempt.
that's the exactly point of all this coding session, and something that's probably something that I talk to all of the guests is like, come here and code, and this is what happens to us all the time. And sometimes we are hours troubleshooting, not just 30
Oh yeah.
minutes, right? But
So this one, see, so this one basically, so I updated the IP, it just fired. So what it does, you can see the logs here.
nice.
So I see the logging successful. Now it says created Denver AI model, this one,
Hmm.
and I'm using a default. And this was the endpoint, and it hit 800 API.
Cool.
So let's try with the different. So the idea is that this is again developer tool. We have to experiment with different one. So let's try with this Llama 2, and let's see if it hits the endpoint. Yeah, it is not hitting the endpoint. So maybe it is like it is IP is correct. 119.
Says,
Yeah, 119. And let me check the port. Oh, oh, by the way, it generated. It generated, I think we need to increase the context window for this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think the max, so I think the token size is way too much. So because I'll show you the other one, but the default when you run, so it uses a different context. So example, if I fire here, right? So we need to increase this particular one sample. So it's still loading here. Yeah, it cannot hire. So you can see the pad sequence. So I need to increase more.
Oh, cannot be
Uh,
higher than max yeah, that's the
yeah,
problem. Yep.
that's the problem. And if I go to my other one, which is a different model which I was running, because again, it's again depend upon model to model, right? So some model has different context window, and you have to run in a different way.
Mhm.
And I think this one I can show me. I think we can come with a um, show show me all the product which are shipped. So I'm just asking English question,
Mhm.
and so see it's just it's generating query, and it generate. Another thing is that I want to make sure that if I generate again, it should give me the same query.
Oh yeah.
So shipped are show me all the items which are shipped.
That's a good point. Yeah, try to tweak the LLM to see if it
Yeah,
gets.
and now you see
Yeah.
what happened was exactly. So that is the here. So you trick the LLM a little bit, and what it did, it basically created a, you can see it generated the code, but you can see the query is different here. See, last time, because I said product, it was able to find the product, but this time it changed the query. And another catch, what it did was it generated your markup language highlighted query. So
Oh.
you can see it's doing a triple take and SQL because it thinks a human is asking. And those are, I would say, the limitation of any LLM right now you're doing here. Pretty much you can see here.
And this is an LLM trained for SQL, basically. So
Yeah,
it
this
should
is
be able
still,
to
and
understand.
it understood. The problem is it just generated a your what I can say. Uh, it generated a markdown
Yeah,
language.
instead of
That
creating
was the
this,
problem.
yeah, instead of creating this query, the SQL query created different thing. Yeah.
Let me try a few more things here.
Mhm. And actually, to validate that is what he was mentioning, right? So you can just use the DB, I mean this agent, but you actually need something to check, and probably another agent verifying or asking again. So it's like a conversation between agents and agents, right? So that would be a good way to try to solve this.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, projects. I mean, these models fail, and it's also good to to show it or to actually test it. Sometimes we've seen these things on papers or in multiple places, and it seems to be
Yeah.
amazing. Um, but actually, when you try it, it's hard. I mean, it's good if you do like your same example, you actually made the perfect question and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is where the agentic thing comes in, because again, this is, I never got time to actually extrapolate, because the true use case of agentic is actually validation of it. So
Mhm.
example, first step will be help me to find out which table I need to query. And the next step will be putting actually this DB agent, throwing the query. Third will be the output comes, you validate it. So I'll show you the code, what I did. Initially, when I had this problem, it was spitting all kind of stuff. So again, now you have to do a little bit of prompt engineering. So I'll show you the key prompt engineering was done here is, see, I'm saying generate only question without explanation and without formatting the markdown. So this example, this question was, see, this was for Denver API client. So probably I have to put this on a SQL agent as well. So if I go Hugging Face, oh, see, that looks like this. I need to add this as well. So let me add it and let's fix the problem right away. Okay.
We have one question from the audience. What about using MCP, Model Context
Oh,
Protocol?
model context protocol. Yeah, it is a different. It's, yes, you can definitely use it, but this particular tool doesn't have implemented, and we need to implement MCP for that one.
MCP is great, by the way.
Yeah, MCP is great. Yeah, and let me add this this to this guy. Let me. Should be fine. I hope it takes the context window. And so this time I'm telling it generate only SQL answer without explanation and this one. And let's see what
Without code
happens.
formatting for Markdown.
Yeah. Because they are trying to help you, right, for something which I don't want. So let me, okay, it still did it. It still did it, by the way.
Yeah.
So what I was doing earlier, I'll show you the factory example and the base. So still I was doing a SQL pattern check. I'm still doing it, basically checking only SQL. If it starts with select, then you print, otherwise you basically don't return the patch. So I guess this need a little bit of work if you change the SQL parameter.
Okay.
So if I do simple, I think let me try the simple question again. Yeah, I think something has gone.
Yeah, it's again doing like the Markdown.
Yeah, it's doing the markdown. I think the problem with this, what is happening? For regular use case, it will work fine. But because I'm taking the SQL and directly throwing it to the database, database is crapping out that it's showing you error. It is not a standard SQL because you're giving it to the SQL Alchemy, right?
Yep.
So maybe it looks like this some work needs to be done here to basically show.
No, but this is great. I mean, we have 5 more minutes.
Yeah, 5 or so example, the when we that time we were launching the Gaudi machine. So it's I just launched it, still pending state. It takes around 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes to actually spin up the whole machine because it's a full machine, like 8 node.
Yep.
And I think something always you need to pre-create. Example, this Llama model, whenever you download based on internet speed, it could take some time as well. So I would say if you have any question, we can go, and or if we have time, we can start troubleshooting as well. So it looks like, and also I would encourage, with the whole open source is that, and if anybody's trying and just if you're using it, just go ahead and raise a issue or something like that, pull request or issue, whatever you think, and it might help to do something.
And if you know how to solve it,
So we have few
go ahead
folks.
and solve it.
Yeah, so we have few folks and few stars as well. Okay, I didn't expect that, but that's pretty good start. And let me go and let's see if it comes up. still at pending state. It will take a little time to launch. And yeah, this is you do it. So this is the basically this variable is printing. Example is showing a Postgres where it is connecting this database, and the LLM endpoint you have to update. So let me show the LLM. Yeah, okay, this is also fine. Okay.
Let's connect.
Yeah. So now see this is gone. It is able to, I think it was going to a different model. Let me check. Oh, hey, by the way, I have Olama running.
Okay.
So it might be going onto the local host. I'm not sure. So example, I have Olama here. Olama PS, Olama LS. So I have all these running. And by the way, when I run against vanilla llama, I get this issue of generating this one. So I'm sure people are familiar with Olama. Olama is your example. If the same thing you want to run locally, you can run with Olama.
Cool.
So maybe we can quickly show the example to the people and
Yep.
how to troubleshoot it as well. So if I put Olama and I put this one and I do a save and ask the same question. So yeah, now it is running. See, it is taking time and I need to see Olama PS. See, is loading the, oh, it loaded the DeepSeek.
Oh,
So it is
DeepSeek will give you
using,
the answer. So yeah, that will take a while. Yeah, probably.
yeah, see, DeepSeek now it says, see, oh, right. So it's, it's coming with a story and all this thing. It actually gave you the query, but I think there is a,
Just give
I
me
think
the
I said,
query. Give me the query. Don't think about it.
yeah, so I think that prompt need to be changed. So if I go here on helper supported model and yeah, I put a llama here. Which model I have to check. I have this one. You have to make sure this exactly matches, otherwise it won't work. Okay, let's try here. Because it shouldn't have gone to DeepSeek, by the way. It should have gone to Olama and
have
asked me the same question.
we have one more question, Mokhtar. For local LLM inference, what RAM CPU minimum requirement to cover current concurrent SQL queries?
I think it completely depends on model to model. Even we saw, right, how the Llama 2, the content, I think it depends. For CPU, unless you are using some specialized Xeon based, I'm not sure about that actually, because see, I'm kind of a spoiled in a way that working in Denver, I always have access to GPUs. So I really don't look for any model which is optimized for CPU, and I always look for, okay, what works on Gaudi, what works on an A100, H100, and that's what the fun part.
But I
So
think if you
maybe
use
that,
Olama, it lowers the resources, the amount of resources you need, right?
which one, which llama? I think
Olama,
you use
Olama.
the Olama actually. So example, Olama, if you're using here, so this one is using all GPU, see, this particular one. This is my Mac GPU, right?
Yeah.
And so I basically created another repo altogether. So I call it a LLM examples here. You can, these one, it's basically, it gives you pretty much this one, right? Olama chatbot, this one particular. So in this one, I give option of running like either all GPU or you can run with CPU also. So if you don't give CPU, I think DB agent GitHub repo also has this. Let me check. I think I have it here. Mm,
Yeah, I imagine it depends on the amount of queries that you'll be using simultaneously and
Yeah.
so on. That's actually a good metric, like to know how many queries this LLM can do. Because all the benchmarks we have with that is like first token, second token generation, latency or whatever. I don't know what is the metric for SQL models.
See, I think they are very light, I would say. The only problem is the input context window is pretty large for these one because you are putting the SQL and the whole schema. So input context is really large and it generates pretty quickly. Um, in usually when I do on Mac Mini, I would say I'm getting around 10 token per second or something like that. So yeah, I think yeah, challenging task as GPUs. But I think you know what, to your question about CPU, right? I mean, I think I need to experiment. So maybe we have Xeon as well. So maybe I can run it on Xeon and see how it performs because
Yeah,
CPU is more accessible compared to GPU. And yeah, because
yeah,
I pretty much that's what I said because I'm a little bit biased in a way that because I've always have access to GPUs,
yeah.
so I never pay attention, or I'm running on Mac. So all these Mac they have default GPU, so you can always accelerate with GPU.
Yeah.
So that is
Actually,
a good thing to actually look for it.
actually, on the CPU part, and there is a comment that says yes, it's a challenge task because the GPUs are more expensive, of course. There is some options. Now I'm using the Intel hat, right? So you can optimize some models to run on your CPUs from when you're running inferencing. For instance, an 8 billion parameters, you can make it fit in a computer in a tiny CPU, but you need to start playing on the optimizations, right? So quantization and that kind of story. Olama, for instance, is one good example for that. And there is a lot. There's a big story on how to use inferencing on CPUs. Could be Xeons or could be computers, right? We think that the
Yeah.
GPUs are good if you have thousands of users, right? So if you need to feed 20 billion of users, yes, you probably cannot use it on a PC, right, or a CPU. But in most of the use cases, you can use a CPU to do the inferencing, depending on latency. I mean, but there is a story about optimizations, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
There is another question. Thanks, Mokhtar. Thanks for all your questions. Thank you. By the way,
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
there is an OPIA project for CPU Intel Xeon, but the hard thing is the inference. Um, I would like to know a bit more of this question. OPIA is actually a project for deploying GenAI applications. Um, you can run on CPUs, you can run on Xeons, and it's actually just for inference of OPIA. You don't have a story for training there. It's probably similar on the concept that Chandan showed, like the 2 or 3 microservices. OPIA goes more in the end-to-end. If you have a RAG application, each component, they give you the blueprints and everything. Um, I can talk about OPIA for hours, so it's just. But that's actually that. Let me know if you have any more questions. I think that I answered to them, but just let me know. And thank you. Okay, Chandan. So we have, let's say, 5 more minutes, and it's anything else that you would like to test it to show it before we wrap up?
Yeah. I think next will be like troubleshooting and basically adding the features. Looks like, and that will be it. If someone wants, if interested in troubleshooting, by the way, this is all I do, and because it's
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to maybe if they have time, I can basically try to run on the Olama, and I need to check a little bit here. Looks like it is still sending to. mm. So you have time for troubleshooting or
I think we have 5 more minutes ish. Yeah, let's say until 45.
okay?
Um,
Let me then check what is going on because I think it's throwing the query to the wrong
and we can talk
here.
about something in the meantime. So if anyone has any more questions, We can talk about PL, we can talk about CPUs, whatever. Just let us know questions for the project. If you like to be part, I mean, if you are actually testing this, just let us know.
No, it's actually generating through serving through Llama 3.2, but I'm not sure why it is giving me this explanation.
But I
So
think
you can
that
see,
it looks like a DeepSeek answer.
yeah, it looks like a deep, but I do Olama PS, I only see DeepSeek. I don't see the other one, so I can do a Olama RM. Delete these one.
Olama, the A.
Olama, okay. And let's delete this one also to make sure that I only have one.
Cool.
Now it has nothing to do with this one. Okay. Uh, yeah, give me all the what? Just ask any question. I'm just running. What is this? Census produce something.
Sensors, yeah.
What is this? I'm just throwing an error. Okay, see, it worked. So I think somehow it was going to this DeepSeek.
DeepSeek.
So see, even Olama, this Llama 3.2 is generating. And by the way, this is all through my laptop. You can see the speed is pretty good.
The speed is pretty good, yeah.
Olama PS. Yeah, now it is there.
That's
So
right.
it's using 100% GPU. I can switch it to CPU and I think it will be slower. But again, it won't be a apple to apple comparison because it's a Intel, it's a different Mac CPU. But I can, maybe I should have logged. I have a Microsoft Surface laptop also with Intel and both NVIDIA as well.
You have a lot of
So
hardware.
yeah, hardware. Yeah. And yeah, so I think we can do like, give me, what are the source countries of which are manufacturing the products? Yeah, see, it's pretty fast right now. See, this is all through this one, and I can see here, and there is, I think, Olama has a command, right, to see the token per second. And by the way, what I did was just to play around, I just put another simple chatbot here also. It is a simple chatbot, so if you don't want to use, assume if you don't want to use your chatbot, so you can say, who are you? So you can ask general question also to this one. So again, this is, I haven't tested this part of it.
Yeah.
So, or we can, nowadays I'm using this one, is runs pretty fast. And I can say, give me commands for Olama token per second. Tell.
Yeah, it's looking for that.
Verbose. Oh, we have to do a run and verbose.
Oh, when you run it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, how to see the verbose. So basically I have to run it one more time.
Cool.
So, oh, you have to run the prompt here.
Oh,
so I can't see a debug. Yeah.
Olama. Yeah, put in llamas. Yeah, Olama.
No, they don't have log.
No. No, I think, yeah, you just have to run the query on that. Or probably if you put it on the script, you can run it too.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Again, another thing. Olama is not designed for enterprise use. That's why maybe they're not focused towards, log and all this thing. And good thing about a TGI is you can run a Prometheus exporter and you can get pretty much a decent data. So that's what I like TGI.
Yep.
Because it is more, even though I think VLLM, I think it uses VLLM or not, but backend is all Triton.
Yeah.
And they use the specific example for Gaudi. They will use a different kind of engine for that purpose as well.
Yeah.
So the good thing about TGI is you can always have export something for logging and all those stuff.
For logging.
Yeah.
But all right, all right. Hey, this is awesome. This is great. So
Yeah.
thank you for your time and to coming. Let me switch to both of us now. So thank you, thank you. Any comments that you would like to make? People would like to be part of the project. I mean, we put a GitHub.
Yeah.
Any closing comments that you would like to make?
I would say just come and just closing comment. I will say whether you love or hate it, just maybe give a feedback. That is also good. And but I think that this can be a good kind of a side project for anybody who is interested in AI agent. And I think someone said model context protocol, but you can still do a agentic workflow without model context
Oh yeah.
protocol. MP, that is a one way of doing it, but you can do a very simplistic, what I call is a racing style of like giving a microservice kind of design. So if you want to make it simple, that is good. But if you want to make it more enterprisey, then yes, MCP is the right way to go.
Yeah, yeah, and actually is we love standards when we work with open source, right? So we don't want to be reinventing the wheel and so on. So starting to have standards, it's pretty new. I mean, not extremely new. It was launched in November, I think, or December.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a way to have a standardized way to communicate, and this is great. And something that agents, right? So it's getting huge adoption. So most people, not huge adoption, but most people is deciding to test things, do things.
Yes, yeah. But I think it's
If we
mostly
don't,
for Anthropic
exactly,
ecosystem. I'm not sure if other will follow or not, unless
exactly.
open source community comes and add those hooks for MCP. But right now it's mostly Anthropic ecosystem.
You need to contribute to that, but they will not be
Yeah,
doing. But yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, great, Chandan. Thank you so much for your time. I hope to see you again during the year, showing cool stuff too. So that would be amazing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
thank you so much for your time. We really
Thank you,
appreciate
Joanne.
it.
Thank you for inviting me.
And
Looking forward to it.
for the audience, we'll see next month. We'll still. I don't wanna say what will be the topic, but we'll be around OPA probably, some agents, RAG, and so on. So stay tuned. See you next time. Thank you, Chandan.